COVID-19, as well as updates on our code of ethics. At this time, I'm going to pass the presentation over to John Leonardi.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being on. Donna Littlefield, our president, and I were on a call last week with the county exec, and his warnings were so dire that I think it's important that we spread the word among our members that not only you'll see here, we have a bunch of slides I'll present, but it's getting to the tipping point and we need to make everyone aware. Can we have the first slide, Peter, please? Next slide, please. So this is the latest information as of yesterday. Close to 18,000 cases. We've had 700 die as of November 15th. You'll see here in a few minutes that we have certain areas that are already orange. And later today at the governor's press conference, he will either extend yellow or we may go back to orange. And I'll explain what that is in a little bit. We do have people in the ICU. Last week, there were 156 individuals admitted to the hospital. So as we get into the holiday season, everyone needs to take extra precaution. Next slide, please, Peter. This is a little hard to read, but the specific date I want to point to is September 23rd. You could see at that point a upward trend, and last week of number of cases, we're just going up, up, up. And so we need to go back to being more vigilant, and especially with open houses and showings, that we follow all to the letter, all of the COVID CDC protocols. You may or may not be aware, the state of Washington yesterday went back to total lockdown. And my concern is, A, for the safety of all of our members, your family members, that it's going to get worse. And that's the message. Next slide, please. The troubling aspect on this slide is the week of November 7th and the following week, you could see the increase actually started October 31st. We were going down in the beginning of October, and now through November, we have jumped. And that is what the county exec is concerned with. That is what the governor's concerned with. And that's what we all need to be concerned with. And again, with the holidays, the biggest issue for us, well, for the community in the country, is people want to get together for Thanksgiving. The holidays are coming up. Most of the cases that are reported are where family gatherings have occurred. So you have to be very cognizant of that. Next slide, please. This shows breakdown by zip code, and Amherst, Hamburg, Amherst, various other parts, you're going down the list. Buffalo University area is all, we're spiking. And again, we need to get the word out to everyone, our family members, friends. Again, follow the protocols, wear your mask, wash your hands, constantly wipe things down. If you're showing properties, maintain your distance. I can't emphasize enough the dangers. In addition to the reality that if we do go back into a lockdown situation, I don't know yet what that means for your business. Will it just be virtual? And how do we maneuver that? We had an incident 2 weeks ago, an individual not knowing that he had a fever, that he had symptoms, picked up a family member who was elderly, and that family member passed away, and he had COVID. So this is obviously the most pressing thing we can do, is to make sure that you don't get into a fight with somebody because they're not wearing masks. Just leave the area. But again, our numbers are spiking. Next slide, please, Peter. This is some of the information we got from Niagara County. Lockport is spiking. The City of the Falls, Niagara Falls is Lewiston, North Tonawanda, Wheatfield. Again, these are all areas between Erie and Niagara County. These are the biggest areas that we all work in and shop in. And so you just have to constantly put it out there to be safe. I can't emphasize that enough. Next slide, please. So go back one. Thank you. The county exec was adamant. You already see all of the, wear a mask, wash your hands, distance. But if you have any symptoms, if your clients have any flu-like symptoms, you need to just stop what you're doing and distance yourself. I know that sounds crazy. And I know you want to, people want to see houses, but you have to be very smart and they have to be truthful, because I'll show you the next slide. And this is really scary. In August, 55 people attended a wedding. One of the guests had COVID. That spread to 176 people. And right now, 7 of them died and none of them attended the wedding. So this is a very strong visual of how this virus spreads, and it affects obviously everybody differently. So please, if you're dealing with a situation that you don't feel safe in, remove yourself, wear your mask, wash your hands, make sure the house, if you're going to show a property, is disinfected before and after, and just continue to follow those guidelines. And of course, there's a business component to this. Obviously, no one wants the area to shut down. It'd be another economic disaster. There's no unemployment. There's no additional federal monies for people on unemployment. And it could literally bankrupt companies and individuals. And there was a report in the news today, companies that received over $1 billion in PPP money, half of them have filed for bankruptcy. So this is real. Our concern from the leadership team is awareness, and that everyone spreads the word about following the guidelines. Any quick questions? Again, I'm not the expert on this, but we felt it was important enough to really try to hit the ball out of the park and make everyone aware what needs to continue to be: safety, distance, washing hands, wearing a mask. Okay, last slide. This is hot off the press. NAR on Friday, and we're recording this, so you'll be able to, or you can go online to realtor.org. So right now, realtors are compelled to comply with all of the articles of the Code of Ethics. NAR on Friday expanded Article 10, that if a realtor, even on their own time, as John Leonardi on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook makes a discriminating remark on race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familiar status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity, even though it was on their own time, they are now going to be subjected to professional standards and ethics. And they even expanded it about using hate speech, harassing speech, epithet slurs against any protected class. So what this means is, and it's effective immediately, that if someone goes on Facebook and disparages one of the protected classes, they're going to be brought up on ethics charges. The goal is you're a realtor 100% of the time, and you're not just a realtor when you're showing or listing properties. And so you need to spread the word about this. NAR is cracking down. We're going to be cracking down. We need to really come together as a community and build each other up. They're expanding the definition of public trust against all protected classes, along with all fraud. And another big change is if there is a violation that is a result of fraud or basically something that is against the license law, we are now compelled, if they're found guilty, to notify the licensing agency. So these are all changes that NAR felt that needs to be implemented, and under normal circumstances, we would have a 3 to 4 month implementation phase. They're effective as of Saturday at 12:01 in the morning. And we're going to be putting a lot of information out there for the members. And the reality is NAR, the BNAR, the leadership team wants everyone to be the best person they can be. And it's easy to go on a social media platform and say mean things, discriminate, be hateful, and NAR is trying to stop that, and we will be enforcing those rules as well. I don't know if Charlie is on. Charlie Martirana, our legal counsel.
He is not on, at least not as a named item. There may be a phone, but I don't see anything else.
John, we have 2 questions.
Yes.
One, Jennifer Cousins wanted to know if we could get access to a copy of the slides after this meeting.
Pete?
Sorry, trying to do too many things at once, especially with this full screen here. But yes, I can actually, if once the slides go down, I can post a link in the chat to our BNAR site where the file. Remember, a lot of the data is going to be stale as of today once they announce it. So some of the data that you saw on the COVID information will be stale, but for the most part, yes, we can definitely.
You muted yourself, Pete.
John, this is Charlie.
Oh,
Charlie's here.
The call.
Oh, perfect, Charlie. Do you want to add anything regarding either the COVID or the new NAR revision of Article 10?
Thank you. Well, you said both very well. I would start with the NAR message first. The NAR message is, as we all know, the word realtor is a national brand that has been trademarked by the National Association of Realtors. And so it has the right to establish standards nationwide, and it has done so, as you well know, over the years. And so this is yet another standard of conduct and performance that NAR has established and what it means to call yourself a realtor. So if you think of it in terms of you have joined an organization that has its rules and standards of conduct, this is another obligation that you have to fulfill. In addition to all the other good things of acting in good faith, cooperating with your fellow brokers and agents, and working together to serve the public in terms of your sales and purchases and exchanges and all the other transactions that you handle. Along with that goes a compliance with federal law with regard to housing discrimination. And so this is yet another indication of NAR's goal to comply with the fair housing standards, as well as to deal fairly and with dignity with all of your fellow human beings, and not just in the setting of your workday. So I would encourage you to look at this particular new standard, not so much as a threat, but as a way to conduct your day-to-day affairs with your business and with your life. We all have ethical obligations, and this is just yet another way to define it. The law has always recognized claims of defamation, claims of slander and libel, where somebody's reputation is attacked in one way or the other. And so I think this is just another sort of aspect of that, albeit within the standards of NAR and how you conduct your affairs. That would be my statement on that. As to COVID, common sense should prevail, and the county executive was good enough to reach out to John and the crew at BNAR to try to be sure to spread the word that we can all take sensible, common sense steps to be responsible to each other in a common community that we live in, and try to minimize what is a dreadful situation. I've used the phrase, the boogeyman is everywhere, and indeed it is here once again manifesting itself. And I think it's fairly simple that if you look at what is going on in the rest of the country, those who have not paid attention, those who have willfully said, I'm going to do whatever I want to do, are basically destroying their communities and bringing a pox literally on everybody. So that's my piece. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charlie. If there are no other questions, we wanted to keep.
We do have one. Gina, you might have to elaborate on this for me. She said there is not a warning on this, is there? Gina, can you elaborate a little bit about that?
So we were talking about the different violations, and we were talking about the different, fines. I know John was going into that. And I just want to be clear so that, I can tell my agents, you're not going to have a warning like we have with the board, like with the ML, right? You get a warning of the violation to fix it. I mean, from what I read in some of the different articles from NAR, there was no warning. It was just a fine. Do you know the answer to that?
Well, it's not a fine. It would be an ethics hearing.
Okay.
So there are no warnings.
I asked that.
The warning is we're going to get the word out there. I'm going to talk to Annette, Pam, and Sue here at the staff. Obviously, we don't want to, we got to gingerly make people aware, and but it's going to be difficult for staff and the committee to flush some of this out. There is an FAQ online.
Okay.
We will definitely be on top of it. I can tell you that much.
Okay. Margaret Hartman's asking to speak. Maybe she knows something more. I don't know.
If I can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, number one, I was on the board of director meeting. Number two, I'm on the professional standards committee. There are no warnings. This shouldn't be hard for us to do, really. 10.5 has always been there. I teach it. We have to elaborate it. The only thing that's being elaborated in 10.5 is that it extends on your own personal life. And people sometimes have an attitude that what I say on my own time is okay. No, it's not okay. But for us in New York State, I'm going to tell you right now, we're already handing out by executive order, the discrimination forms. Point one, day one, that if people feel like in any way, at any time, that a real estate agent was out of line, personal time or unpersonal time, it can be complained to. So we have to make sure there are no warnings. This is not an MLS slap on the hand. This is a professional standards hearing. Each case has to be on how grievous the matter was. We're not going to be the police, but we need to make sure that if a complaint comes in from the consumer, from an outside source, or from realtor to realtor, that it's addressed through the normal procedures. If it's considered extremely grievous, it is now the Buffalo Niagara Association's, they're mandated to let the state know, because we can't take someone's license for being a bad guy, but the DOS can make that decision if they so desire to make that decision. So there shouldn't have to be any thoughts of explaining. Now, the only thing else I wanted to say is people don't understand some of the things that they're saying or doing are considered hate speech or harassing speech. So if you say something very nicely, like, I really pray for those each night that they will find and do the right thing because they now belong to the LGBT community. You cannot say that. That is called harassing speech. That is hate speech. Everybody can live their life the way they so choose to live their life. So even if we're sitting, it doesn't have to be just social media. You could be sitting at a bar, well, not anymore with COVID, but in a restaurant, if you see a gay couple, anything like that, you cannot make snickering remarks, lewd remarks, or anything, even if you're just having dinner and it's not a real estate transaction. So this is just expanding 10.5 because we never take our real estate hat off. And when if you remember what happened with Newsday, when somebody is caught doing something bad, the first thing that comes out is Margaret Hartman, realtor. Okay, realtor. And that's what we're trying to protect. So that's all the elaboration. So it'll go through its normal process, and of course it'll be deemed on how bad, hopefully not bad. And what our real hope is that we never get any of these cases at Buffalo Niagara. That's what we're hoping for. So we've already included it in our teachings. I'll be teaching the Code of Ethics tomorrow. We've already got our slide up. We're going to spend time on this with the people we touch, but we're only touching 40 people, 45 people at a time. So the message has to go out from the managers and the office brokers and word of mouth that this is here and it's here to stay and it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you,
I have
Margaret.
another question. The next question is, how does reporting work for these type of violations? So for instance, if something is said on Facebook or et cetera, what does somebody do to report this kind of violation?
I'd imagine, I don't know if it's Annette or Pam are on, but I'd imagine that they would file an ethics complaint against John Leonardi and take a screenshot of the post if it's on Facebook, and they would go to the grievance committee.
Pam is online here.
I believe they can
Yes.
also
So
be
the
reported to
BNAR
HUD as well.
Let Pam go first, please, Amber. Pam?
Okay, on BNAR.org, you'd go under services and the second line is ethics. The form is there for you to fill out, and then you do a narrative on what, when, why, what happened, and send it into the board. And then we take it from there, it goes to grievance, and then if it goes to a hearing, it will go to a hearing.
John Weber asked, what do you, if you hear it in person, like at a restaurant? And John, you follow the same steps. The narrative is actually you stating what had happened at the situation.
That's correct.
What other questions?
Again, the goal is to live your realtor life 100% of the time, and just doing the right thing, as Charlie said. And NAR will probably come down in the future with some additional lifestyle changes for realtors, because you're a realtor 100% of the time. And so we all want to be the best we can be. And NAR is moving forward with these changes.
And it's not just realtors either, if you don't mind me including, a lot of the larger companies have fired people for things they've said on Facebook.
That's true. And when you say larger companies, I'm thinking you're thinking like Fortune 500 type companies.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah.
Those are the ones that I've heard of. Yes.
Right. So again, always take the high road. And, you know, as my father used to say, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything. So I don't know if there's there's something in the chat box.
Somebody mentioned, Tricia said they fire people and other brokers scoop them right up. It's gross. Well, can't argue with that, but you know.
Okay. Amber, that's all I have. You want to finish up and close out, please?
Absolutely. I just want to say thank you so much for all of your time today. And as always, if there's anything that we can do for you, please reach out to us. And have a wonderful day and be safe out there, guys. Be safe.
All right.